My dear friends, before starting the video, we have a request to subscribe the channel. Have you ever wanted to learn English but didn't have a teacher to guide you? Many people think that without a teacher, learning a language is impossible. But that's not true. You can learn English on your own, step by step, just like you learned your first language. Some people believe that they need expensive classes, special books, or a tutor to speak English fluently. But let me tell you a secret. English is all around us. You just need to know how to use the world as your teacher. This is the story of a boy named Rohan. He lived in a small town where no one spoke English, and he had no teacher to help him. But he had a big dream. He wanted to speak English fluently. Everyone told him it was impossible. But Rohan didn't listen. He found his own way to learn English. And in the end, he proved that anyone can do it. This story is written in a simple way so that everyone can understand. It's not just a story. It's a guide to help you learn English too. So, my dear friends, sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. Maybe by the end of it, you will find new ways to learn English without a teacher too. Rohan's journey to learning English. Rohan was a 13-year-old boy who lived in a small village. In his village, no one spoke English. His school taught only the basics, and there were no teachers who could help him become fluent. But Rohan had a dream. He wanted to speak English like the people he saw in movies and on TV. He wanted to travel the world, make new friends, and read English books without struggling. One day he asked his father, "Papa, can I go to the city to join an English class?" His father sighed. "Rohan, we don't have the money for that. But if you really want to learn, you will find a way." Rohan thought for a long time. How can I learn English without a teacher? He had no idea where to start, but he remembered something important. When he was a baby, no one taught him how to speak his mother tongue. He just learned by listening and practicing. If I learned my own language without a teacher, maybe I can learn English the same way, he thought. And so, Rohan's journey began. The magic of listening. Rohan realized that before he could speak English, he needed to understand it. But how? No one in his village spoke English. Then, one evening, he saw his little sister watching an English cartoon on TV. The characters were talking, laughing, and singing in English. What if I listen to English every day? Rohan thought. From that day, he started watching English cartoons and movies. He didn't understand every word, but he listened carefully. Slowly, some words started making sense. One day, he heard a character say, "How are you?" And another replied, "I'm fine." Rohan smiled. "I understand that." Excited, he went to his mother and said, "How are you?" in English. His mother laughed. "What are you saying, beta?" Rohan didn't mind. He felt like he had unlocked a secret door to a new world. Speaking without fear, Rohan knew that just listening wasn't enough. He needed to speak English, but there was a problem. Who could he talk to? Then he had an idea. What if I talk to myself? So every morning, Rohan stood in front of the mirror and had conversations with himself in English. "Hello, my name is Rohan. I am from India. I like football. What do you like?" he said, pretending to have a conversation. At first, he felt silly, but soon he started enjoying it. His confidence grew, and he began using simple English words while talking to his family. One day, his father asked, "Rohan, why are you talking to yourself?" Rohan grinned. "I am practicing English." His father laughed but felt proud of his son's dedication. The power of reading. One afternoon, Rohan found an old English newspaper in a shop. He picked it up and tried to read it. The words were difficult, and he didn't understand most of them. But instead of giving up, he started looking for words he knew. He saw the word school and smiled. "I know this word." Every day, he found new words and wrote them in a small notebook. He looked up their meanings and tried to use them in his mirror conversations. One day, he saw the word beautiful in a newspaper. That evening, he told his sister, Didi, you look beautiful today. His sister laughed. Thank you. Where did you learn that? Rohan proudly pointed at his notebook, writing his own stories. As Rohan learned more words, he decided to write short stories in English. His first story was very simple. Once upon a time, there was a boy. His name was Rohan. He liked to learn English. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Every night, he wrote a few sentences in English. His writing slowly improved, and he felt more comfortable with the language. The ultimate test. One day, an American tourist visited Rohan's village. Everyone was curious, but too shy to talk to him. Rohan's heart raced. Should I try speaking to him? Taking a deep breath, he walked up to the tourist and said, Hello, welcome to our village. The tourist smiled. Hello, thank you. What is your name? Rohan's hands were shaking, but he answered, My name is Rohan. Nice to meet you. They had a short conversation, and although Rohan made mistakes, he was able to communicate. When the tourist left, Rohan felt like he had won a battle. I did it, he thought. That night, as he looked at the stars, he whispered, I learned English without a teacher. A new beginning. Rohan's journey didn't stop there. He continued to practice, listen, read, and speak English every day. Years later, he became a tour guide, helping travelers from all over the world. People were amazed by his fluent English, and when they asked, Who taught you? He always smiled and said, The world was my teacher. The end. Final thoughts. Dear friends, like Rohan, you can learn English without a teacher too. Just listen, speak, read, and write a little every day. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Every mistake is a step toward learning. So are you ready to start your journey? Rohan's next chapter. A bigger dream. Rohan's journey of learning English without a teacher had changed his life. He was no longer afraid to speak, and he had become confident in conversations. But deep inside, he knew his journey was not over. He had a new dream, to go to the city and study further in English. One evening, Rohan sat with his father under the old banyan tree. Papa, he said, I want to go to the city and study in an English medium school. His father sighed. Beta, city schools are expensive. We don't have enough money for that. Rohan knew this would be a challenge, but he wasn't ready to give up. I will find a way, Papa. If I can learn English without a teacher, I can find a way to study too. His father smiled at his son's determination. If you believe in yourself, I believe in you too. And so Rohan's new journey began. Finding opportunities, Rohan knew that city schools needed fees, and he had no money. So he started thinking, how can I use my English to earn? Then, one day, he saw a small guest house in his village where foreign tourists stayed. He had an idea. He went to the guest house owner and said, Sir, I can speak English. Can I work here as a guide for tourists? The owner was surprised. You can speak English? Let me hear you. Rohan confidently said, Hello, sir. My name is Rohan. Welcome to our village. I can show you around and tell you about our history. The owner was impressed. Okay, I will give you a chance. If the tourists like your work, I will pay you. Rohan was thrilled. This was his first real job as an English-speaking guide. A new challenge, speaking fluently. The next day, his first tourist group arrived. They were from England, and Rohan felt nervous. What if I make mistakes? What if they laugh at me? But then he remembered something. The timekeeper's advice from his past journey. Making mistakes is not failure. It is learning. With a deep breath, Rohan greeted them. Hello, welcome to our village. My name is Rohan, and I will be your guide today. The tourists smiled. Wow, you speak good English. Rohan's confidence grew. As he took them around the village, he spoke slowly and clearly. Sometimes he got stuck on words, but instead of panicking, he found other words to explain. The tourists appreciated his efforts and enjoyed his tour. At the end of the day, they said, You are a wonderful guide. Keep learning and never stop speaking English. The guest house owner was happy too. Rohan You did great. From today, you will work as our village guide. Rohan couldn't believe it. He was earning money just by using the English he had taught himself. The city dream comes true after working for a few months. Rohan saved enough money for his city education. With his father's blessing, he traveled to the city and joined an English medium school. At first, it was difficult. His classmates spoke faster than him, and their vocabulary was stronger. But Rohan didn't give up. He continued his old habits, listening, reading, speaking, and writing every day. Slowly, he improved. His teachers noticed his hard work and supported him. 1 year later, Rohan was not just a student, he was the best English speaker in his class. The final test, a speech in English. One day, the school announced a speech competition. The topic was My Journey of Learning. Rohan knew this was his moment. He went on stage, took a deep breath, and spoke confidently. Hello, everyone. My name is Rohan, and today I want to tell you a story. A story of a boy from a small village who had no teacher but still learned English. A boy who believed that learning has no limits. That boy is me. He shared his journey, his struggles, and how he had learned English without a teacher. The entire hall was silent, listening to his words. When he finished, there was loud applause. His teachers, classmates, and even the principal stood up and clapped. That day, Rohan won first prize. But more than that, he won something bigger. He proved to himself that he could achieve anything. A new beginning, teaching others. Years later, Rohan became a teacher. But not just any teacher. He taught English to students who had no teachers, just like him. He traveled to villages, telling children, you don't need expensive books or classes. You just need dedication. Listen, read, speak, and write every day, and you will learn. His story inspired many, and soon hundreds of children started learning English the way he had, by using the world as their teacher. And whenever someone asked him, who was your teacher, Rohan? He would smile and say, my teacher was the world, and my best lesson was never giving up. Final thoughts. Dear friends, Rohan's journey shows that you don't need a teacher to learn English. You just need a strong will. Like Rohan, you can listen to English every day, speak without fear, read everything you find, write your own stories. So are you ready to start your journey? Because the world is waiting to teach you. The end. Rohan's next dream, the world beyond. Rohan had achieved more than he ever imagined. From a small village boy who had no English teacher, he had become an English teacher himself, helping hundreds of students learn without formal classes. But deep in his heart, he still had one big dream: to travel the world and speak English with people from different countries. One evening, while browsing the internet at a local library, he found an advertisement: International Youth Conference in London. Apply now? Rohan's heart raced. London, the place where English originated? He had only seen it in books and movies. Now there was a chance to go there and speak on an international stage. But there was a problem. The application fee was high, and he needed to submit a video of himself speaking English fluently. Can I do this? He wondered. But then he smiled. If I could learn English without a teacher, I can do anything. And so his next journey began. Recording the perfect video, Rohan borrowed a friend's phone and went to a quiet place by the river. He recorded himself speaking about his journey. Hello, everyone. My name is Rohan, and I come from a small village in India. I learned English without a teacher, and now I help others do the same. If I can do it, anyone can. I want to attend this conference to share my story with the world. After multiple attempts, he finally recorded the perfect video and submitted his application. Now, all he could do was wait. The life-changing email weeks passed, and Rohan almost forgot about the conference. Then one morning, an email arrived. Dear Rohan, congratulations. You have been selected to attend the International Youth Conference in London. We are impressed by your story and will sponsor your trip. Rohan stared at the screen, unable to believe it. London. I am going to London. His family and friends celebrated. His father, who once worried about his education, hugged him and said, "You have made us all proud, beta." But a new challenge awaited him. This was not just a village or city event. He had to speak English on an international stage. Preparing for the big stage, Rohan practiced day and night. He watched TED Talks, listened to native English speakers, and recorded himself speaking. But doubt crept into his mind. What if my English is not good enough? What if people laugh at my accent? Then he remembered his first English conversation with the tourist in his village. He had been nervous then too, but he had spoken anyway. It's not about being perfect, it's about being confident, he reminded himself. And so he kept practicing until he felt ready. Arriving in London, stepping out of the airport, Rohan felt like he was in a dream. The streets were filled with English signboards, people spoke English everywhere, and the famous London buses passed by. I made it, he thought, smiling. At the conference venue, he met young leaders from around the world. They were from America, Japan, France, Brazil, places he had only read about. And now he was speaking English with them. Wow, Rohan, your English is amazing, one of them said. Rohan beamed. I learned this without a teacher, and now I'm using it on a global stage. The speech that inspired the world. The moment finally arrived. Rohan stood on the grand stage, looking at hundreds of people from different countries. Cameras were recording him live. He took a deep breath and began, Hello everyone. My name is Rohan, and I come from a small village in India. In my village, no one spoke English. I had no teacher, no school with English classes, and no money for expensive courses. But I had a dream, to learn English and see the world. He shared his journey, watching cartoons, talking to himself in the mirror, guiding tourists, and becoming a teacher. He told them, you don't need the best school or the best teacher. You need the best attitude. If you listen, read, speak, and write every day, you can learn English just like I did. When he finished, the entire hall erupted in applause. People stood up, clapping and cheering. After the speech, students from different countries came to meet him. You are so inspiring. I want to learn English like you did. Can you help me improve my English? At that moment, Rohan realized something. His journey was far from over. He had learned English without a teacher, and now he had the chance to help the world learn too. A global mission, teaching the world. When Rohan returned to India, he had a new idea, creating an online platform to teach English to anyone, anywhere, for free. With the help of friends, he started a YouTube channel where he shared simple lessons, just like the way he had learned. His first video was titled, How to Learn English Without a Teacher, My Story. It went viral. Thousands of people watched, commented, and thanked him for his tips. Soon he launched a website where learners could practice English by listening, speaking, reading, and writing every day. His platform reached people from villages, cities, and even other countries. Rohan, the boy who once struggled to learn English, was now a global teacher. The legacy of a village boy years later, Rohan stood at another big event, this time as a guest speaker at an international university. He was no longer just a student. He was a leader, a teacher, and an inspiration to millions. As he spoke, he looked at the audience and said, if a boy from a small village can learn English without a teacher and travel the world, then so can you. Never let your circumstances define you. Your dream is waiting for you. Go and chase it. The applause was louder than ever. And in that moment, Rohan knew his story had just begun. Final message to you. Dear friends, Rohan's journey shows us that learning English is not about expensive schools, perfect grammar, or native teachers. It is about dedication, practice, and never giving up. If you want to learn English without a teacher, remember, listen to English daily. Speak without fear. Read everything you can. Write your own thoughts. Just like Rohan, your journey starts today. So, are you ready to learn English and change your life? The end? Or maybe just the beginning? Hey, hey.